Longest Jake here with a two-part video featuring the Panzer IV S, which basically is a mashup of the Panzer IV H hull from Tier 5 with a variation of mesh side skirts instead of the solid panels, and the Schmalturm turret from the Panther, and the famous 7.5 L70 gun from a number of mid-tier German vehicles, ranging from the Stug 3G to the Tier 6 lineup, which can all feature it, and then even all the way up to Tier 7 at the E25 and Panther M10. My first battle finds myself here on airfield, and the biggest detractor to the Panzer IV H, or Panzer IV S, using the Panzer IV H's hull and engine is that it's slow. As you see, I was barely able to make that crossing. Keep that in mind if you ever see this tank for sale again, or if you have it yourself and haven't played it much, just keep it in mind. The speed, is particularly up hills, is very poor, and in a sense, it makes the Panzer IV S turn into something more like a German Jackson. If you've ever played the American Tier 6 tank destroyer, the Jackson, you know, it's a turreted tank destroyer that has a decent turret armor, and unlike the Hellcat, it's not real fast. Well, this thing is basically like that, except using, you know, the fantastic L70 gun. It's has 150 penetration with your regular AP and has nearly 200 with the APCR. Combine that with a very high rate of fire and overall good gun handling, you have a very reliable weapon. Here you see I'm poking my turret first and instantly track, so I can start working on getting some assistance damage. And for those of you looking to, you know, improve your experience earning, so that, you know, if it's just simply to get through a tank, or if you're looking to ace something or work on marks of excellence, go for track shots. I'll always have it in my mind where Skill Frailty is always yelling track, track, and he's right, 100%. Because now I've pinned that KV-1 in there, and I'm getting free assistance damage. And again, I go for a tracking shot on the Hellcat. And it just helps you earn so much more experience, and it helps your team. You're literally giving your team easier shots, and it helps not just artillery but tank destroyers. Also can save your teammates from taking damage because, well, a tracked target is just sitting there, so your teammates can make, you know, movements to get away from them. It's like the battle already wasn't going great, but now I'm starting to try to work in some damage to clear out this area. And no, I'm not going to be dissecting the replay, you know, bit by bit. I'll instead give a overview of what I'm thinking at the time here. Basically, I'm trying to use the cover, because artillery has already fired at me a few times. I'm going to use the cover of this position, which this position is extremely strong. On airfield here, if you have a medium or a tank destroyer, go to this spot, and it has the counterpoint on the opposing side. If you have the west spawn, these two spots are so good. You can make stands from them, like right here. I'm actually going to move down to help my tank destroyer, because I don't want to lose him. More guns means easier time in winning. Now he makes a big mistake here. He actually runs forward, and now he's pinned. So now I need to move forward to help him. Look and see. Now, one thing you can do is, I notice now that Sherman hit me with AP and bounced 115 off my turret. So he's running the 76 millimeter. So now I know how to approach him. Of course, he's taking a beating from artillery, so I don't really have to worry about it too much. The 76mm makes him absolutely just inferior in every way to my Panzer IV S. If he was running the howitzer, he could poke the corner and out-damage me with HE or heat. Unfortunately, my WZ tank destroyer buddy here, he again pushed up, and it shouldn't have, and lost him. Now I know I have a T-67 behind me. I need to get clear of this. I will take a couple of hits, repair the ammo rack immediately. And now I'm going to go dark, but I have a pretty good idea of where that T-67 is. And for those of you, don't worry about your accuracy rating. If you could blind shot somebody, try. There we go. See, I spotted him blind shooting, and he took the shot against me. And yes, I did eat a shot from him again, but his gun's out of the game. And that's a good thing. Because on this map, with the mobility and camo that the T-67 has, he could actually be a pretty big problem. And again, map awareness here. T1 Heavy is pushing, and he's probably not alone. We haven't seen the TOG at any point. So that tells me either he's staying at base, or he's probably going to be following in behind that T1 Heavy. Because the T1 Heavy is significantly more mobile than a TOG. To the point of actually, it's a fairly quick heavy as far as acceleration and turning. So I have the Wolverine I have to worry about. And I'm fully expecting the TOG to be behind the T1 Heavy. I just got to deal with those two. And here we go. The land whale itself shows. So now what I have to do is I have to watch. Everybody makes jokes about TOGs, but what you have to watch for is it does actually have a pretty good combination of monstrous amount of hit points and very good DPM out of a very good gun. You don't want to get into a slugging fight with this. So yes, I do switch over to APCR. Not entirely needed, but I need to get rid of this TOG fast. The score is still only 11-10. We have a 1 tank lead. And this is a little bit older replay. This is before World of Tanks added in the team health bars. And if we did have the team health bars, I mentioned that because if we had those, you would see the enemy team has a huge health advantage right now. And our T-34-85M, he has been very proactive. And up until that point when the artillery finished off the T1 Heavy, I was actually kind of concerned that it was going to come down to me and the T-34-85 having to really heavily carry this. And that's probably exactly as it was going to be in the end anyways. But he finished off all the artillery and the Wolverine. Our artillery finished off the T1 Heavy. So now it's really just down to harpooning the whale. And the T-34-85M makes a good decision. He's probably heavily damaged at this point. I haven't been keeping up with him. But we got the TOG. I'm just going to get as much damage as I can off of him. And just start pumping in the shots. And that's all this becomes. There's really no commentary needed. It's just getting as much as I can. As you see, he does spot me through that bush. I pulled forward just a little too far, and now I'm working backwards, trying to get behind. And that ends up being a win with a massive amount of damage out of the Panzer IV S. As it's showing about 3,300. Here are the results. I did get ace and high caliber and tank sniper. That's the main ones there. Also got the little ribbons of bruiser, fighter, and fire for effect. But fire for effect just means that you've done more damage than your own hit points. Your goal should always be to get the fire for effect. That means you were an effective teammate. And as I was saying, myself and then the T-34-85M, which T-34-85M is an extraordinarily good Tier 6 medium. So it should perform well while being top tier. Now this battle here on Melanovka is a whole different story. Bottom tier, open map, 3 artillery, and 2 of the artilleries are higher tier than myself. There's some extremely dangerous vehicles, so this is where you have to play very cautiously. And this is where you also have to keep in mind all the people who complain about being bottom tier. Don't. Yes, it's going to be a tougher fight. Yes, you're going to have to play smart. Yes, you're going to have to pick and choose your fights and work in damage where you can, spot where you can. Just be helpful where you can. But these are where you can have these great games where you make an impact, and even an unexpected impact. And man, I love German guns. I love German guns. That shot on the Cromwell B is just... It just sailed... If you were to go back and slow that down, it just sailed so straight and true to the center point of my reticle. It was great. Which the Panzer IV S should, if we're talking about ideal situations, the Panzer IV S should be an extremely stable platform because of the low speed it has. It's not rocking around that much. And now it's time to try to land hits on this guy. I actually damaged his track but didn't track him. But the next person that hit him did finish off knocking off the track. Because something most people don't know is that tracks have hit points. If the hit points of the track health are higher than your gun's average damage, you won't track on the first hit. You will have to shoot again. See here, I'm telling them the AMX 1375 is a matter of why didn't anyone go hill? Well, we just had to play defense. And our Liberté, unfortunately, he's saying, I'm going to try the hill alone. Not a good idea. The Liberté is a very good vehicle. But with 3 already in the game, he will be focused. Absolutely. So let's see if we can't help him. A little too low on my aiming. And that's the Emmels turret, which is, unless you hit it dead in the side, with 150 penetration at this range, it's going to bounce a lot of shots from me. I'm just trying to get everybody's attention on him. And artillery did a nice job there, at least stunning him. Because that does slow down your mobility. Allow the Liberté to at least get in position. Like maybe the Liberté can get up there behind the windmill and get mostly artillery safe. And no, I don't have a clue of what this OI is doing. See, now there's a nice precise shot from the L70. It sailed just right where I aimed it. Hit the side of the Emmels turret. And a lot of these shots are my aim point. I didn't lead that one at all. I was thinking he was going to stop, but he just kept rolling backwards, so all I did was hit his gun. I still don't know what the OI is doing. But now I'm in a position where I'm actually going to have to be careful and play a little bit of spotter here. And of course this position here is extremely well known. It's very common. But you can roll forward, and I do have this set up almost like a turreted tank destroyer. I run a setup of vents, rammer, and binoculars. I put the vents in the first slot to get the bonus overall. It acts as a almost like second brothers in arms, and improves your tank in every which way. Rammer for TPM, and I actually do put binoculars because this is not a flanking medium. This is not one you're going to run around in. Otherwise I'd put optics, but you will find yourself sitting and sniping. And if that's not for you, then if you don't have the Panzer IV S, I wouldn't get it. Because this is the typical gameplay of it. it doesn't really flank very well. It's a little too slow. And the whole armor is horrible. Now the turret is actually very bouncy. And as you've seen in the previous game, you can bounce a decent amount of shots. The mobility is not so dreadful that you can't get around, but as you see here, this, just taking from another tier 6 German, the VK 30.1D, that's the VK 30.01D, it's that thing can sail around the map really easily. This cannot. This is very deliberate in its movements. And I'm just trying to ease over. I actually like working myself up to this position once the battle has progressed a little bit. This position here gives decent cover, especially from the base. It gives a little bit of artillery cover. And then you have this bush that you can work up to. You have to be careful on the approach, because they can spot you if you take a sideways angle to that bush. They can spot you as you're going up to it. Now once you're in it, if you're not firing, they're not going to spot you. It's a very useful position. And I'm looking around thinking, that Emil could go back up the hill, and if he goes up the hill, I'm going to be in trouble. There's a SU-130 PM. There's the Panther sitting in the bushes right with the SU, and the P-43 BIS, and still 3 artillery in play. And I was isolated. So I watched the map, looked at it, and thought, I need to fall back. Even though I'm full health, being caught out of position like that, like say if the Panther II made a push, he is a far superior vehicle. And my teammates probably wouldn't be able to take him down quick enough in order to save me, which would be what it would be, because I would be caught out of position. So a key lesson to learn there is pay attention to the map, make sure you're not overextended yourself. Because I've seen too many times when teammates rage that nobody helped them. Well, I just moved back to my original position because I felt like I was a little overextended for the current situation. We just have the 2 guys on the hill, and really nobody else close to me. SU-130 PM's a little too far back at the base. The Udez is there, and he's a little too far away to get good clean shots over here. And of course the STRV and P-43 Tur, they're fine. They're keeping overwatch on the south. They're doing a fine job down there. So I would be down to relying on that AMX 1375 to lean over the hill, or artillery. Not good. Now, as it turns out, the Emil didn't make any kind of aggressive move. The Panther is still sitting there. And the SU-130 PM's not likely to be aggressive anyways. And they've got an Oni who's still in the woods. So I came back up. It's just one of those times where it's better to be safe than sorry. We're already down 2 tanks, and I don't want to see my gun taken out of the game. Kind of one of those things where you know what you're capable of. You don't know what your teammates are capable of. I'd rather be in the game, active and fighting. So with 6 minutes and change to go, we are waiting to see if the enemy's going to make a mistake. Unfortunately, our 1375 makes the mistake instead. So I need to eliminate some guns. And yes, I am risking getting spotted here, and that's fine. I just knocked out their top tier heavy and a secondary heavy. And that's good. The Emil is very dangerous when it can get into a good position, especially when top tier. And I actually get a spot on the Panther too, and I get spotted as well. But this is good. He's under half health, and he's spotted right now. And I got nothing. I got nothing out of that. So See, there's the terrain actually provides a little protection here. You see one of the enemy artillery caught the lip of the rise there, and it's actually one of the benefits of just being down here a little bit. It doesn't provide a lot of overhead protection, but there's enough there that it can cause some low-flying shots to snag that tip of the cliff. Now I got him spotted again. This time I approached the bush better, because the first time I was coming in from my left, and coming in from my left was causing me to get spotted on the way in. So now the artillery is going to have chances to get shots on him. So I will keep him spotted. And despite what most people think about the Panther II, I actually respect that tank quite a bit. It has a gun that no matter what the player's skill level is, that gun will penetrate most of the targets it faces. Okay, now we've got the 1357 on the run, which is great. We found out where he is. He's at under half health as well. So that's actually very, very good information. Now their Thunderbolt is actually making a mistake here, I do believe. Then there goes their Panther II, and I will risk the shot. That's yet another tier 8 gone. And I didn't get spotted. That tells me a lot. That tells me they don't have somebody within range of detecting me. And for whatever reason, their 1357 went to charge the hill. So I don't know what his plan was. But that was a good shot by my teammates. And now, it's like, I don't know how they did it, but the P-43 Tur, he actually took out one of the enemy artillery. So this game has turned around with some careful play and some teamwork here. I spot the issue 1:30 p.m. Oh, and if it gets to this point and you're trying to break up a camp session by the enemy team, this position I'm in is a very, very good position to work up to. This one here, not on the little mound to my right, but this position. It's not as commonly used, and it can spot people everywhere. And you also can just dive off if you have to. There, I got 2 shots into the SU, and our SU finished him off. So great. That's one of the most dangerous guns out of the game now. Now the mound to my right is useful in some ways, and I am going to go over there. Its use is in trying to spot people who are in the forest. You'll get spotted coming up here if there's enemies at the base still, but this right here, if you work into it carefully, there, I'm waiting for him to go behind the trees, but you can spot people like this Oni here who are hiding in the woods. And I'm not needing premium here. I'm just punching right through his side. That's just the DPM of the Panzer IV S coming into play. Me knocking that tree over is what I do believe the artillery honed in on. So now I'm just charging. I get their S1 spotted. And the P-43 is the only other tank unspotted. And they are focused on me 100%. See, and I just had my sixth sense go off. I'm not exactly sure on how that they were able to hit me twice there. The S1 or the S51 and the GW Panther both hit me. And my sixth sense didn't go off until after the hits had landed. So, a little questionable there, unless they were just paying attention to debris falling over. But I get my revenge. One clean shot, and that's the game. Going on to the results here, this was actually, I think, the better played game out of the two. It showcased the Panzer IV's fantastic weapon, its ability to basically snipe at will on an open map, and the fact that it can get around when it has to. It was just a very good game, and we had a couple of very good performing teammates there who did a very good job. Especially a big shout out to the Liberté. He did a great job, nearly alone on the hill. But thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got something from it. This is Mongo Shake saying thanks.